Well, the Witte Museum is excited to welcome back an exhibition showcasing the powerful stories of Black cowboys. Corderro takes us there to highlight Black cowboys in an American story.
Today, the lives and legacies of the Black cowboys continue to inspire generations to explore the past through music, film, design, and fashion. But before we dive into that, we must understand the significance of the Black cowboy.
The person who was considered with almost the birth of ranching in Texas, Anglo ranching, relied on the labor of enslaved cowboys. So the role of enslaved cowboys in the history of Texas's cattle ranching industry is deep.
Today, are there any Black cowboys in San Antonio?
I mean, yes, there are, and there are trail riding groups that operate here in San Antonio. Personally, what I've gotten to know over the last few years is Tex Williams. He was the first African-American high school bull riding champion in the state of Texas.
Wow.
And you would never know it. He's just who he is. But I'll let him tell you your story. But he's a really important person in the history of Black cowboys in San Antonio in particular.
I went to E.A. Greer High School in El Campo, Texas. And I ended up going to South Texas Junior College in Houston. And I went there for 1 year. And I didn't put in my student deferment for the next year and got drafted. And then I ended up going to Vietnam. I started riding horses, I would say around 3.5. My father put me on a horse, and I've been riding horses ever since. The word cowboy come back from slavery, and a lot of people would say it's hard to believe, but that's where it comes from. And now, that's all you hear is cowboy. They had the yard boy, they had the house boy, they had the field boy, and they had the cowboy. Now the field boy was the one who worked in the field, the house boy works in the house, and the cowboy worked the cattle. That's why the word cowboy. Back in the day, the white guys that were so-called cowboys, they were called cowhands. Rosenberg, the biggest part of the ranches down in Rosenberg, Texas, they were black. There were a lot of black cowboys, but they just weren't exposed, in the day. There were a lot of black rodeos, and there are a lot of black cowboys. They ride just as good as the white cowboys. And when they worked together, when we all worked together, there wasn't any separation. It was just like man for man. Whatever you were doing, you go do it, or we help you to do it. That was it. I was born and raised in El Campo, and Warden is 14 miles from El Campo. They wouldn't let me ride in high school there. But I had already won the Texas champion bareback rider in '67. I was already going to the national final, but they wouldn't let me ride in the little rodeo that they had there in Warden. I ended up winning the bull riding that year.
Wow.
And I couldn't participate in the high school rodeos before '66, before '64. '64 was when the integration was, and that's when, but there weren't any black kids that was rodeoing in my time. They were there, don't get me wrong, but they weren't rodeoing, And by me being on a working ranch, I wanted a rodeo, and my dad used to take some of the kids from the ranch to the rodeos, and I would go with him. I was rodeoing with grown men. I rodeoed with grown men. And when they integrated, I started trying to go to the high school rodeo. And the ranch that I worked on, a good friend of mine, he and I grew up together. And he went to these high school rodeos. And my dad used to take the horses for him. And I would ask him, I said, how come I can't ride with him? He just told me, he said, it wasn't your time yet. And at the time I didn't explain it. But I knew I could ride as good as they were riding, if not better. Well, I placed first in one go-around in the steer wrestling. I placed a go-around in the barrack riding, and then ended up placing third in the average. And I had points in the bull riding, but I couldn't ride my other bull because, you know, they kicked me out of the bull riding. I was the all-around runner-up. So you can say I'm the first black to go to the National High School Finals place, and then I was all-around runner-up that year. That was in 67. 68, I come back. I won the barrack riding and the bull riding in Texas. No other black was participating. I feel great. I'll be honest with you, I do. At first, it didn't mean anything. All I wanted to do was just ride a horse or a bull. That's all I ever wanted to do. Then I started realizing what I've done, nobody can take it away from me. I don't care how many come after me, they can't be the first one. Then it got me to thinking, and I started looking and listening to other stuff, and pretty much I've done every event in rodeoing except tripping steers. I've never tripped a steer. And I got a buckle or a saddle out in every event in rodeo. And when you go to do something, try to be the best that you can be. And that's the only thing I ask. Just don't go half-cocked.
And you can see the Black Cowboys, an American Story exhibition at the Witte Museum now through February 9th. Take a look at your screen. All the information is there. You can also visit wittemuseum.org for more.